Okay, so the reason that this podcast is titled what it's titled is because Josh Owens, my dear friend who I'm thrilled was able to be on the podcast, ended up having to pay $500 to get his rental car back because it was towed from my apartment complex. Poor guy, he was so patient and kind through the whole process, but I'm telling you, when we finish this episode of the podcast, we have plans to go to LA, to do a comedy club, we were excited about our day. And it was also his birthday. And so on his birthday, he's at the tow yard dishing out all kinds of money to get a rental car back, and we didn't even get to go to the comedy club. But out of all this, we did get a great podcast because myself and Josh are dear, dear friends that we met at Hyles-Anderson College, and our friendship blossomed from there, and we've been great friends ever since. And actually, he's one of those friends that, you know, when you get on the call with someone and you're like, this is going to take a while, but you're happy because you both have a lot to say and you want to bounce things off each other, and you're kindred spirits. That's what Josh is to me. So I'm super grateful that he was able to come on the podcast. I'm sorry, Josh, this is from me to you, that your birthday went so poorly that day. That one's on me, but I'm very grateful that he came on the podcast. And he's a good friend of the podcast, as he mentions on his own podcast, Good Humans. Josh has plugged our podcast often. He's done a lot of things to make my podcast become a reality. His was started before mine, and so I've gone to him many times for advice, and he's been a huge help. But so to get to the meat of the podcast, what we talk about, we've got a fun Dane Cook story that you might not believe because it's a little bit out there. We also talk about, of course, tour. We both went on tour and sang for Hyles-Anderson College, and then towards the end of the podcast, we got into just kind of how we're transitioning as adults now who weren't raised to understand how real life works, how the real world works. We get into, if you come from our background in the independent fundamental Baptist movement, if you grew up in any sort of a cult, or just maybe you grew up as a Christian with very, very strict rules around you, and now you're kind of exploring and figuring out what life has to offer and where do you fit in and how can you be happy, please listen to the last 20 minutes of this podcast. It will be a huge help. We just kind of delve into what worked for us individually and kind of our observations as we go through, because man, this is a process. And I know it's cliche, the journey is the destination and all that, but really that's the truth. And we talk about how to be happy on your journey, how to be fulfilled, and I think it'll be a big help to each and every one of you. So thank you so much for sticking around for another long intro, and please enjoy this $500 episode of the Not Your Mother's podcast with my dear friend Josh Owens. My name's Stuart. This is my good friend Josh Owens, and this is the Not Your Mother's podcast.
Cheers, my friend.
I usually put the alcohol up here. I should have put that up here.
It's good.
So, this episode has been 2 years in the making, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
It's been a while. So, Josh has his own podcast and was definitely a big part of inspiring me to start a podcast, and a big help in just figuring out the logistics of it, how it's all going to work, what to look for, what to avoid. You've been a huge help, and as you say on your podcast, a great friend of the podcast. So I want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Just for me as a friend, there's a lot of things that I'll touch on today, but for the podcast especially, viewers, listeners, if you enjoy Not Your Mother's podcast, you've got to check out the Good Humans podcast. A lot of great content. That's Josh's podcast. A lot of terrific content over there, but also a person who's really helped support Not Your Mother's podcast. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
We don't have sponsors here, but if we did, he would be one.
I will say that I sponsor the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Sponsored by Josh Owens.
There you go. So Josh Owens has sent us in this Smallville. This would be a Clark, right? Mm-hmm. We would call that. And then he sent us this awesome Bob Ross Art of Chill game. So you guys have got to understand that Josh is a big supporter. I'll go. Let's say this. You are our first official sponsor of Not Your Mother's podcast.
Perfect. I love
Josh Owens.
I love it. I feel honored.
Good.
Well,
you should.
I've told you before, and I've said it on my podcast. I think what you're doing with this is important. So
thank you.
I love it.
Thank you, dude.
Keep
I
it up.
appreciate it. We will. We intend to. So we're going to go over a few things today. Me and Josh actually as with most of my guests, we actually attended the same Bible college. I call it Fake Jesus College. I've got a friend that calls it FJC for short, which I think is great. So we're going to talk about college a little bit. We're going to talk about a fun incident that got me in what I thought was life. It was life altering, to be sure.
For me as well.
Yeah, for you.
Yes.
So the little teaser there, which I don't usually mess around with that, but I mean it. Stick around to hear about the role that the fuck word played in our lives. It's great. So, and then we're going to talk about our transition out of the independent fundamental Baptist movement. Say what you will, and Josh may disagree with me on this, but I feel like he's one of the most well-adjusted people I've ever met for the kind of past, that you've had.
Thank
that
you.
we grew up in, and where we, I mean it though. I'm not even drunk yet. So where we come from, like all of that, finding your way through the ether that is real life.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of research. You're reading books. You're figuring things out. You're talking it on your podcast. And I'm going to keep pushing Good Humans podcast on this episode. I've got to. It's on my computer. It's right here. Did you see that?
I saw.
It's good.
you got your
we'll just show
Breaking
them.
Bad sticker and
Yeah.
your Good Human sticker.
So on the let me see if I don't know if anyone's gonna see this. Probably just listening. So the bitch sticker over here, and then the good human sticker over here, because balance.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah, I like the juxtaposition. Yeah.
I do too. I have never been. Well, I haven't been in too many meetings, but there's been a couple where I was like, just keep my left hand over on this side of my computer so no one sees.
If they're gonna have a problem with that,
then we're not gonna get along.
Right,
Probably.
exactly.
All right, so excuse me. I'm gonna have to confirm with either my parents or yours, probably mine. But I think that we actually, yeah. No offense to your parents, but we actually met. I think we met when we were children. When you guys were on the East Coast. And I could be wrong, like I said, I'll have to confirm with my parents, and again, that's something that neither of us have like a vivid memory of.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yes, I remember from, but I think we did. But the time that I really remember, because this is how I like to kind of intro the guest on the podcast, the time that I really remember meeting Josh was at Hyles-Anderson College. And I honestly don't have, my first memory of you is not probably the first time that we met. But the first memory I have of you, I knew of you. So I knew of you, you're from HB, and so you have...
I was one of those HB punks.
But I think there's something to be said for that. There's kind of, I'm sure there's more than two, but as I remember, there's two kind of variances for HB. I remember you, your type, and I remember Chris Johnson, which I'm not going to talk a lot of shit on, but maybe a little bit.
Yeah. He was in my class.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
in my graduating class.
But I was close. So you've got the hardcore people that believe the Bible and right down the middle and doing their thing, and then you've got someone like you who's, I get away with a few things. I don't get in as much trouble as other kids.
I was mostly a good kid, but...
but not all the way.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember. But I remember we were sitting... I'm trying to remember whose car we were sitting in. It might have been yours or might have been... It wasn't Joey's, because I've crammed in that Cougar before.
Yeah.
That's not a Cougar, not that kind of... The car. So...
yeah, we didn't get that crazy in college.
I didn't.
I didn't either.
Good for you.
Yeah.
More complications down the road.
Yeah.
But we were sitting in someone's car, and I wish I could remember who it was. But we were either listening to or burning. No, we weren't burning. We were listening to Signature Sound. I remember that. And that's my first memory of
I think I remember this. I think it was my car.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was your car red?
No.
No.
If it was red, it wasn't my car.
Okay. But I don't remember. I mean, again, I'm having trouble recalling.
I had a gray Ford Escort for a long time.
Maybe that's what it was. Todd, was it the same one? Todd had like a newer Ford Escort. Do you remember that one? Though he had a white one. Was it like that, or was it older?
It was.
An
I think it
old
was
Escort.
older.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like the real boxy.
Gotcha.
Sharp corners.
Maybe that's what we were sitting in. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But that's my first memory of you.
I do remember that. So I was gonna say I'm terrible at this stuff. I'm terrible at like remembering the first
my
time I
memory's
meet
shit.
somebody.
Okay.
And you've talked with like people on the podcast before about like college and different things. And like as you're talking about that stuff, I'm like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, I remember that now, but like I never would have remembered that just on my own.
Yes.
So I'm really like, I don't know what it is about my memory, but I've just always been that way.
Do you remember like those weird little things?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I
Same here.
remember exactly where I was the day of the incident. Like I remember the name of the place. I remember like
I do too.
I remember everything that happened that day, but like
we're gonna get to that. We're not there yet.
but
Yeah, but that's traumatic. That trauma is just
it like burns it.
Yes, dude. Like it's fucking stuck.
I feel like there's like whole years of my life.
Oh, 100%.
Points where I just like
100%. 100%. The memory I have, of course, was us listening to Southern Gospel. I think, you know what's ironic is the guy that introduced me. So I had the very first Southern Gospel I ever heard was, now, I don't think it was Signature Sound. I think it was what came right before them, and I'm trying to remember who that was. Because there was a group...
Ernie founded Signature Sound, Ernie Hyles.
Right.
And he came from the Cathedrals.
No, I'm not talking about that. So there's a group before them. The guy, their lead had like...
Oh, Shane Dunlap.
Was it?
Shane Dunlap had a group called...
Their lead was like...
Because it was him and Gary Jones and like a couple other guys. And I was a huge fan of their stuff. I can't remember the name of their band right now.
That sucks.
Listen to me saying I can't remember shit. And I'm like, Ernie,
this guy here, Cathedrals,
yeah.
George John.
But I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember something.
Damn, I threw my phone over there.
Something voice or sound or something. No, let's look it up. I appreciate your podcast etiquette, though. By the way,
okay.
Your phone.
Let's see.
But okay, what I was going to say is it was either Signature Sound or this group that we're trying to think of. Vocal something? I don't know. Not Vocal Union.
Ooh, are you talking about In Harmony?
Yes, In Harmony. That's what I'm thinking of.
That was Gary
Dude,
Jones.
So
that was
good.
Shane Dunlap for sure.
So good. I loved them, and I don't think they're on Spotify or anything.
They're nowhere now.
Yeah, dude. They had I think two albums, but at least one.
Yeah, they had.
God,
I think two for sure.
So good.
Yeah.
So I think it was either that or Signature Sound, and I don't know if you would know or guess or care, but like the person that introduced me to them was Chris Veith. Of all people, who very much more like a straight, right,
yeah.
like a straight laced, straight edge kind of guy. I feel like he was a dorm soup at some point. And again, I don't have good or necessarily bad memories of Chris. I don't have anything against him. Just like
I didn't know him super well.
For him to be the person that introduced me to Southern gospel music is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
although that's like on the tamer end, so that makes sense.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is the tamer end of Southern gospel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you remember? I know I've talked about this before, but I don't know if you would have been in chapel or even in college, but I mean, I know you remember Bob Hooker preaching.
Bob Hooker told me one time, right before I left school.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
It was Christmas lights, dude.
Yep.
Our group was singing at Christmas lights. Bob Hooker, after we got done, pulled me aside.
Wait, can I pause you for a minute?
Absolutely.
So, and again, we can cut this out if you don't want it in here, but I don't think you'll do that to me. I feel like I know we've talked about this before. And I feel like when this happened, you were kind of having your top of the world moment. Things were really going your way. Your life was good. Ministry, like everything was just like, man, this is where I want to be. I'm doing what I want to do. I feel like I found success.
Yeah.
And then Bob says,
I was feeling good. And Christmas lights is our big
that's a big event.
Christmas activity.
That's huge
for the college. Like it was a dating activity. So like you would take a date. And we would go and see like the romantic Christmas lights in downtown Chicago.
Under
like,
chaperone.
Always in the worst weather. Like it was always so fucking cold. But it didn't matter.
Do you know who Mary Pennington is?
Oh yeah. I went to school with all of them.
I took Mary.
Sam, yeah.
I think
Sam,
too. Yeah. I took Mary, who I don't have anything against her, but I don't know if everything's connected in the brains.
Yeah.
So again, nothing against any Penningtons or Mary at all, but the card I got afterwards was written in crayon. I'll tell you that.
Awesome. Creative choice.
And trust me, that was my freshman year, and all my roommates, Gavin, Todd, everyone was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Did you take a 5-year-old?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they said. But it was freezing cold, and she was like on her sleeve like the whole time, which is gross. But like it was freezing cold. I remember that. It was always freezing.
This is such a rabbit trail, but the first Christmas lights I ever went to was in high school because our high school also did Christmas lights at a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl I took, I was like on top of the world because the girl I took, we rode the Ferris wheel, and she was scared of heights. I don't know if she really was or not. She grabbed my arm, and I was like, God. "You gotta understand,
that's a
for
big
a Christian
deal.
school kid to have his date grab his arm is like."
You probably came a little.
I probably did. Yeah, I needed to change my pants when I got home.
So I didn't have that experience, and I've talked about it on here before. I didn't have that experience until Harvest Festival. I didn't have that in college at all. But at Harvest Festival, I took Lauren Kilby.
Oh, she was great.
She's a super fun person, and she's a stunner. Married,
she was
and then I'm happy for her, all that jazz.
I said was. if
you were really
if
cool,
you're watching, Lauren, you're probably still beautiful.
I doubt she is. Someone, this will
you.
get back to her through one channel or another. Yeah. But I remember she was about to fall off the damn hayride. She grabbed my arm and I was like,
she was like one of those cool girls too. Like she was like
chill, very chill. Yeah, very chill.
Her and like Anna Ogle and like
yes,
very cool.
Yeah, I talked to Anna a lot. Yeah. So, anyways, we rabbit trail, but whatever. So you're at Christmas lights. You're on top of the world.
Yeah.
You performed at Christmas lights, correct?
Yeah, our tour group, which you've talked about on the podcast before. We were no anchormen, but.
See, that's someone that listens to the podcast.
Yeah, we had
Thank
just
goodness
done,
you were no anchorman.
You know what? That CD is not as bad as. There's a joke there, but that CD is not as bad as people say it is, or you say it is.
Yeah, it's rough.
But yeah, our tour group sang at Christmas lights. We did a whole Christmas set. We were really proud of it. Christmas songs are not hard, or they're not easy to sing.
It's like it's like patriotic songs.
Right.
Why do they do that? I don't know, but patriotic and Christmas songs are hard as fuck to sing.
They're not easy, and so we did 4-part harmony arrangements for all these songs. Nice. We sang a set, and then we got done, and so the date that I had lined up for this activity as well told me at the activity, when we all got there, that she was actually going to be hanging out with a different guy.
Oh shit!
I had that going into the set.
I have to ask, was this the first time you took her out or no?
This would have been the first.
Okay.
This would have been the first.
Doesn't
time,
make it okay, but
this would have been the first time I officially took her out, under the rules
actual dating
of
shit.
The good Hyles-Anderson people.
But you've been seeing her before that, or you guys had
I think we'd gone out once or twice.
Gotcha.
So
all right, I'll leave that alone.
Anyway, so she told me that we sang our set, and then Bob Hooker pulls me aside, we're cleaning up and everything. Pulls me aside, gets right in my face. He's this big dude.
He's a big guy.
Gets right in my face he's trying to intimidate me. And he goes, "Son, in 5 years, if you keep going the way you're going, I guarantee you're going to be an alcoholic or a drug addict or both." And walked away. And that was it. No greeting, no precursor, and nothing
just
after.
That.
Just had to say that.
Just raw, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, walked away. And I was like,
Christ, dude.
What?
Oh my god.
And he didn't know me.
No, he knows
at all.
I
went to school with his daughters, and we crossed paths a few times, but
sure.
He didn't know me.
But it wasn't so this wasn't coming from a place of
And guess what? It's a decade later ish. Yeah. And I'm neither.
Yeah.
So
as we drink our alcohol.
I'm neither.
You know what? Even if you became let me just say this right now, because I want to say this to that. Even if you became, and I don't mean in a way the way that man would define an alcoholic is what we're drinking here.
Yeah, it would be any
amount of alcohol, any amount of drugs. So drugs that are even legal, which I'm sure at his age.
So Bob was right.
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is, at his age, he's probably on some drugs that would be illegal if he bought them on the street. So there's that.
If he didn't have a doctor telling him.
Yeah, exactly. And any drugs that you or I have ingested would be legal drugs. Would be, and I'm not saying we have or haven't. I'm just saying marijuana, shrooms, stuff like that. There's places where those are perfectly legal in the U.S. So
like here.
Yeah, like California. So the point that I want to get to is, if you became an alcoholic by his definition, not a definition where you're being abusive or you're broke because you're spending all your money on alcohol. Yeah. Not that. Bob Hooker's definition of a drug addict or an alcoholic, if you were either of those, you'd be much happier than Bob Hooker was, or ever plans to be.
I think currently I'm happier than.
Yeah, I've heard him speak recently, and you are.
So cheers.
Cheers, Bob. But I think, what I was talking about was, I don't know if you were in college or not, and I know I've talked about this before, but I just love this story. It's one of my favorite stories of Bob Hooker preaching. He's got a few, because the guy was really quite a blowhard, which they all were, but Bob was on another level.
Yeah.
And I remember he just took shit too far. Preach against rock music and country music. Do it, go for it.
Sure.
There's ammunition, there's, these kids are college age and they're listening to songs about sex with country music and killing police and rap, and there's subjects that you can harp on and be pretty legitimately upset about and get after. I get it. But don't go to Southern Gospel. That's a fucking stupid idea.
Oh, I've heard him preach against Southern Gospel.
Number one, because not the majority, but there are people on staff with you that go and listen to Southern Gospel music.
I might venture to say the majority.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So, but I remember he was preaching, so his thing was, it always goes back to, they love to demonize things. And they actually say that, demonic influence and the devil and Satan. So he went as far as to say that on some country music labels there is a goat symbol that is a demonic symbol. Do you remember that?
I do remember this.
Then he went on to say on I don't know if it was the Gaither label or some other label, he's saying there were Southern Gospel labels that had, and I mean on your old school CD, had a picture of a goat because that makes Southern Gospel music demonic. By the way, Bob Hooker was a huge fan of backmasking songs, which is the funniest thing in the world. Why are you playing it backwards? Who's listening to it backwards?
Yeah, like if that's the stupidest shit in the world. If rock music is Satan's tool to influence the world, and the way this is going to happen is
everyone
the
play their
messages
records
that you
backwards?
hear by hearing it backwards, Satan's a dumb motherfucker. Because it's never going to... except for the people that are, like, breeding conspiracy theories about rock music.
Right.
Who's listening to that stuff back? It's impossible to do, first of all.
Yes.
Unless you have, like, specific equipment.
Exactly, yeah. Not your average user is not like, let me listen to this backwards and see what the fuck's going on.
Now, all that to say, there were a few bands that did that, just, like, as a joke.
They had fun with it,
but,
for sure.
Yeah.
At any rate...
It was just always really funny.
It's hilarious.
Even back then, I was like, who... I'm like looking down the road. I'm like, who's listening? Do you listen to it backwards?
Yeah,
I don't listen to
that's
it
me.
backwards. Yeah.
But I remember him preaching, and he put I don't remember. I've got the DVD. I've got all Ernie Haas's Intro Sounds original DVDs. Once we got rid of who did we get rid of first? I think it was Roy.
Right. Oh yeah, Roy.
Roy Webb went first.
And then Ryan.
And then Ryan.
Yeah.
Once that started happening, I was like, and I don't have anything against Ernie or the group, and it wouldn't matter if I did. He's never gonna see this shit. But like. Once those guys were gone, I was like, the mystique isn't there. Because I got to go see everyone but Roy at, Richie Lopez was there, Manny Robles was there, at fucking Navy Pier. It was awesome in the ballroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
They did a great job.
I had tickets to go see them once, and something happened. I didn't get to go.
Damn. But, yeah, I had to sneak out of, like, that was I didn't even tell. I was dating at the time. Pretty seriously. I didn't even tell her. Like, I told no one. Crazy. Well, I told Bobby Perry, but
that's so crazy.
It's so stupid though, right?
I had tickets to go see Wicked once, and my mom said she was going to turn me into the college if I went, so I didn't go.
Anyways, Bob's preaching, and he's preaching against country music and rock music, and then he starts on Southern Gospel, and it starts getting quiet, or Jordan Comstock would speak up in the back,
Yeah.
And then he pulls out the big screen, and he puts one of Ernie Haas's Intro Sounds videos from one of their music videos on. Were you there? Do you remember this at all?
I do remember this. Dude,
I loved that moment because he played, I think it was a Cathedral song because Ernie does that on every album.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to get a glimpse, if that's the title.
Oh, yes.
I think that's what it was. Yes. So he plays that.
That's one of their jazzier...
Yeah. It's one of the, yeah. You know.
Yeah.
And they dance, and what I liked about Ernie, which I don't think any group has really incorporated before, probably since, but they put a little dance rhythm and little dance in not every song, but a few songs.
They would like choreograph some stuff.
Yeah, which is smart. Because it's all old people they're singing to, so let's get some of the younger ones. So he put that on for like, yes, here I am.
Yeah.
I'm not younger now. But he played that for like 30 seconds, and then he stopped, and he legit, if this was any kind of a performance or a sports thing, he would have had to leave with the amount of boos that came in. Because everyone was like, boo! Because he stopped playing the song. We all liked it. We were all singing along.
I remember that.
We were all singing along.
Yeah, I remember like booing when he stopped it and like standing up. Like a bunch of us like stood up and we were like, start it back again!
That's more.
We need more examples.
We were entertained. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all that to say, Bob Hooker's a fucking asshole.
Dude, Scott did that in his like...
Did he?
Yeah, not like with Southern Gospel, with like... Okay. With like harder rock, like
well, and I think he
rock.
did it with CCM groups too, or Christian contemporary music, I should say.
Yeah, but like, that means. It always weirded me out too when preachers would do that. Like they would preach against this music and then they would play, that music during their sermon to like make their point or whatever. And I was like, hey, sorry, hang on, let's go back again. Like if hearing this music is inviting like demons into my soul,
yes,
essentially, like you. then if I get possessed right now,
that's on you, bro.
Yeah, you did that. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's crazy talk.
Well, so we'll talk about. We'll talk about college a little bit more here. But I do want to. One thing on that, like the demonic possession. That's my favorite one. Yeah. It's like this music is possessing you. Like, no, I just want to dance, or I just want to whatever. Like, I remember. I think it was on tour, but Nick Coates was our bass. Mm-hmm. Nick's phenomenal. I asked him the other day, like, dude, you need to get back into Southern gospel. Like, you really have. Like, he's got a low register, not just in the morning. And I remember he would say stuff like, I don't know if it was on tour or before whatever, but I remember him saying like, and he would talk about it as if he was talking to Bob Hooker and be like, oh, this music's just taking control of my body. Like, while we're listening to Gaither Vocal Band, while we're listening to like low-key piano shit from Bill Gaither, Nick would just start flailing about and saying,
I can see him doing that.
It was so hilarious. But I do remember that vividly. But there's a lot of memories from college, I'm sure. I think I remember you and Joey being this is going to sound funny, but it's the truth, the bad influence that I needed. And bad is in air quotes. Yeah. Because you guys introduced me to, and people are going to hate on me for this, and I really don't give a fuck. And I haven't listened to all their new album yet, so it may be shit. I don't know. Rascal Flatts, a lot of good Christian contemporary music, Southern gospel music. And whether you were... And they got to a point with Joey where he wasn't even introducing me to stuff. I would just give him requests. Like, I need this album and this album.
Yeah, Joey was like your music dealer.
Yes, dude. He was awesome. I loved it. And I remember me and him and Gavin met up at there's a Starbucks across from the mall. Or was it Starbucks? Yeah, it was Starbucks. Yeah. It's the first place I had a green tea frappuccino.
That was the good one.
I stole Todd's green free. Wow, is that doing that to me?
Are you trying to say free green tea?
Green tea frappuccino.
Okay.
Todd's green tea frappuccino is very hard to say right now. So I remember stealing his frappuccino, but that's my biggest memory from that Starbucks. Aside from meeting Joey, me and Gavin.
Todd had it coming because he stole ties from me. So
I love Todd. All right, I don't know if I've admitted this on the podcast before, and I will tell everyone right now. Excuse me, Todd Vabrazaner is a very dear friend of mine. I just went to see him over Thanksgiving this last year, and I have instructed him not to watch this podcast because I don't think it's going to be beneficial for our friendship.
That's probably true.
Yeah, at any rate. And
if you do, I love you.
That's not a dig at Todd. I love Todd. Todd loves me, and there's that. I don't know if I'll edit that out, but I might. At any rate, Todd stole a lot of things, and I was with him when he stole many of those things. Also, I stole things from Todd. I only stole one type of thing because I won't say Todd was rich, but I was more broke than Todd was in college.
Fair enough.
To the point that he had a drawer where he would keep all his quarters.
Oh, yeah.
And I needed quarters.
Laundry.
And so I took quarters for laundry out of Todd's drawer. I'll never forget that. At any rate, me, Gavin Corwin and Joey Gotti met up at that Starbucks, and we were doing the music drug deal. And I don't remember what it was, but it was just funny. Because Gavin was a dorm soup. And Gavin thought Joey was nervous, and I was like, Joey's not nervous at all. He doesn't give a fuck. Like he's asking me what music I want and giving it to me, and that was it. He's just, it was good. But you guys were a great influence on me.
We were the off-campus.
Yes, off-campus students. Kids, you get away with shit. Yeah. I couldn't. You were off-campus and you were HB.
Yeah,
so you kind of had double blessing, if you will.
We were the lucky ones.
So you went on tour for Hyles-Anderson College, also.
I did.
Shouldn't say also. 2 or 3 years? 2 years.
Like essentially
2-ish years? Okay, gotcha. And you have a fucking album.
Yeah, we made an album.
So every year the tour groups all had one album, and we all had 2 or 3 of the most songs on the album. But these motherfuckers, the Highlander Singing Men, which but the other 2 men's groups, we love to hate you guys. Because because Anthony Collins, who ran the whole shebang, was your tour pastor, your guy, and so you kind of got the extra cool shit, and we didn't get it.
Yeah,
you got to go to Gaither Studios and record.
Yeah,
you got your own full album, not just a couple tracks on a CD.
I think 10 or 12 songs. Like it was a full.
Just rub it in, you know.
I would like to say that it didn't go to my head.
It should have though.
It 100% went to my head in college.
Shout out to Steve Shrine. I wonder if it went to his head. Just kidding. I know it did. No offense.
It did. And Steve would tell you.
He would tell you. Yeah, I bet he would.
Love Steve. I think he's supposed to be like coming through my area before long.
Oh man, good.
I hope I get to meet up with him.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Yeah.
The Golden Voice.
Yeah.
Which he was called.
Many times.
talented. But yeah, tour was interesting. Tour was fun. And I know I've talked about it a lot before. Probably over talked it. You know what we should have probably done was pulled out that I have my tour handbook.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, we probably should have pulled that out.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I wonder if I could find it.
Dude, that thing was crazy.
Some of the stuff.
Dude, that thing was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm remembering stuff that was in there now, like phrases you could use. Like there were certain phrases you weren't allowed to use.
Oh, I believe it.
Like not just like bad words, but like you like.
Let's do this. We're gonna pause.
It was crazy.
We're gonna pause for just a minute. We'll come back. I'm gonna dig around really quick. I don't have a ton of time today, and Josh was super gracious to drive. He didn't drive from Indiana or Illinois, but he drove a fur piece to be here. So thank you. I don't want to waste your time.
It's good for you.
But thank you. Let's pause for a minute, and then we'll come back. I'm gonna see if we can find.
Okay,
that
I'm excited.
If we can, we're gonna go over that with you. I did go over it with Mary Schloss for a little bit.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have you flip through it and see what you see.
Okay.
So we will be back. And we're back. So I went digging through my closet, and I came up with ding 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 ding. Not just a picture of Ray Young and Win 11s, but the tour handbook. So I always not like to, but I always tend to assume that there's going to be someone watching this that's like, the fuck is tour? What are you talking about? So just briefly, not that everyone should or shouldn't know what tour is, but some people won't. So tour is, we went to a unaccredited independent fundamental Baptist Bible college, and every summer this college would send out, man, as my receding hairline gets worse, this shine is just going to get even more just fabulous. So every summer they would send out groups of singing groups of men and women singing, not mixed, separate from men and women. That way.
Although, at one point they did a mixed group.
Not when we were around.
No, after us.
Oh, after.
Yeah.
The ensemble, like the big ass.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because they couldn't get enough kids to sing for tour.
Sounds right.
So.
So, at any rate, we would go out every summer, and we would visit churches. And basically, it was just to sign up kids for college. But it was the food was all on the college's card. We all had super annoying matching outfits that we had to wear.
Oh my god!
Did
even
Anthony make
even
you wear
on off days.
Yeah, did Anthony. Now that was what was cool about Scott Gray. On off days, we wore jeans and t-shirts. He was like, "That's fucking stupid. I'm not having you guys match." He didn't say fucking, but that's stupid. I'm not having you guys match. But
Anthony was hardcore.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Polos, like the most dressed down we got most days was polos and khakis.
Khakis, or was it pleated? Like
well, it was still
Dockers?
pleated. Sorry, it was tan pants.
Exactly.
Like dress pants, polos and dress pants.
Yeah. So.
And dress shoes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So at any rate, there was no no dressing down, but anyways, we were there to. I honestly, to be honest, it was one of the best summers of my life. Like absolutely.
I had a great time.
I had a fucking amazing time. I had so much fun. I love to sing. I like the sound of my own voice. Let's be real. I enjoy being in front of people. Honestly, your podcast is longer than mine. That's true. Not longer as an episode wise, longer as in it's been around longer. But at any rate, that's what tour is. We'd go from church to church, 4 or 5 nights a week.
At least,
we'd be in a different church and promoting the college, getting kids to sign up, and it was fun. It really was fun. You ran into all kinds of all the weird church people always came out, especially because if you came on an off night, some churches have church on Thursday, but Thursday, Tuesday, Saturday night, you get the super weird church people. Yeah. It was fun. I had a blast.
It was great, and it was you're traveling for free, seeing places in the country that you
and you're standing up in front of people every night.
Yeah, you're seeing if it's something you love to do, then it's it really is a great. It's your actions are pretty restricted, as we will see, but it was. I had a great time.
I did too, and to be fair, it was always rougher for the girls' tour groups, especially if you had Pedo Pete, and then you also had some people were more strict than others as far as your tour pastor. There are a lot of people that will tell you I went on tour and it was the worst summer of my life, and they're right. So we're not trying to say
my sisters would probably say.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So I met your sister on tour. She came to my church.
Oh, really?
Carrie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely remember your sister.
Carrie and Becky both. Kim might have, too.
Maybe. I remember Carrie. I'm trying to remember who else she traveled with. Did she travel with Charity, or am I going too far back? I think I went too far back.
No, she might have traveled with Charity. Yeah, Michelle, man, some of those names are... Jenny Nesbitt was one of them, and a few others.
Nesbitt?
Yeah.
So there were no. I'm thinking of a different Nesbitt because there was a Nesbitt that actually came and took over my dad's church. I remember that.
It could
lasted a year. Rob.
I don't remember.
Okay, right, yeah.
It could be.
Well, no, it wouldn't be because she wouldn't have been married. Different Nesbitt for sure.
Oh,
Because
okay.
married, it was his name that she took. Anyway, so that was tour. That was a little sidetrack there, but that was tour. And every year at the beginning of tour, I only went once. Josh went a couple times, right?
Yeah. So like essentially 2 years. I didn't travel 2 summers, but like you would do a spring tour, fall tour, and summer tour.
Yes.
And I did 2 spring, 2 fall, and 1 summer.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So and summer tour was 2 months. It was almost all your summer.
9 weeks.
And then you had
Yeah.
and then you had about a month or so before school started up, and then fall was a week and spring was a week. I
Yeah.
think. I remember when we came back. So, but you get your tuition paid for
Yeah.
for the next
tuition's
year.
totally paid for the following year.
And so I remember we came back, and Ray Young was super pissed at us because we came back and we didn't give a fuck. Like our hair was a mess. We were singing some Gaither song, which was in the hymnal, by the way. And he came through and heard us practicing and got super pissed and like pulled us out, was like yelling at us and saying, "I'm not gonna send you on fall tour." And we're like, "Our tuition's paid for." Like, cool,
Okay.
bro. Oh, so I have to do less work and get paid the same.
Yeah.
I'm down, Ray.
Cool.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Where do I sign? But anyways, tour was. But at the beginning of tour, they would sit us all to every tour group member, and on the good years, which they don't have anymore, we had because me and Josh aren't there clearly.
Obviously.
So, but we would have fucking 30, 40, or maybe more. People in that room, in that meeting, this meeting with kind of tour orientation.
Yeah.
A couple days before we went. It was right before
So
graduation.
it was like at least 3 guys groups, usually 3 girls groups.
Mhm.
The girls usually had more
Larger
girls
groups.
in their groups than us. So
You said that better. I said larger groups. I didn't mean it to be at the meeting towards women. You just said more people. I said larger.
I mean, we had large guys too.
Yeah, we did.
Let's be
Jake
honest.
Pitts went on tour. So, anyways, they would sit us down and they would go over all these rules for tour, which luckily for me, Scott Gray didn't follow any of them. But yeah, they go over all these rules and we would it's fucking. If you come across any gyms that you want to talk about,
A few.
All right, lay it on
so,
me. So real quick, I've done this before. So if this is something if you're like, oh, he already pulled this out and did this. Yes, I did with Mary Schloss, who was an incredible and was a great friend and was an incredible tour member. But she has a little bit different perspective than Josh is going to have. So that's why I did this. I wanted to have Josh on. I wanted to talk about this.
I'm also probably not as entertaining as Mary.
I don't know about that. Well, you're less drunk than not less drunk, but you've drunk less alcohol than she did. So
Fair.
that probably plays into it if that's a thing at all. Read them off.
So they take this very seriously. So these are tips and pointers from Dr. Scott.
Now incarcerated in Kentucky Federal Penitentiary. Yes.
Correct. I can't remember where he was. I was just talking about him with Andy. All right, so these are these tips and tricks.
Could Andy not remember either? Because that's a problem. He needs to know these things.
I don't think I asked him.
Okay.
But these are Scott's tips and tricks for how to be a successful tour member.
Are you on the aggressive ones?
So there's one here. I know she mentioned it that says be an aggressive listener. That sounds terrible. For both parties.
Also, how?
Be aggressively friendly. Be an aggressive servant.
You know what this sounds like with those reading them back now, and it's been probably a year since I've read over this, but when you read that back, what I see in my mind's eye are those intense Bible thumping kids.
Yeah,
that's who I see,
yeah.
and we had a few of them on tour
with the intense, scary eye contact.
Dude, Brandon Bowser. That's who I see.
Yeah.
And I'll talk shit on him because I'm blocked on Facebook. He's not going to see this. I don't think.
So, the first one that got me reading through this list is dude. So there's 60 something of these. First of all, and that's not even the whole thing. Number 25. Your character got you here today. Your character will take you from this day forward for 9 weeks. Wrong on both counts. I'll just say.
Oh yeah, no.
My character absolutely did not.
Robert Lopez got me there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's no way I went on to by the time, so I was your sophomore year, in my recollection for me was, sophomore year was the shit year. You're not close enough to be in a senior, and you just finished the shittiest year of being a freshman.
Well, you're also just realized, the freshman year is everything's kind of new. So
it's still youth conference.
Sophomore year, you're this
shit,
is
I'm
terrible.
Fucked. Yeah.
And I still have 3 more years.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So, this is what I was trying to say. So this was my junior year, so I was already a bad kid. There's no way I would have got on. There's just no there's just no way that I go on tour with my rap sheet that I had. I think I'd already had my DC meeting.
Oh.
So like, yeah. So like, there's no way I go on tour. Robert Lopez, bless his heart, because again, best summer of my life on many counts, not every count, but many of them. Like, I don't go on tour without Robert Lopez. Like, when they had, because for the further down you got in the tryouts, you ended up in the activities room, right? And I remember they had Manny, or whoever was playing the piano was someone that was also trying to get on tour.
Right.
But Robert, like, legit scooted that kid out of the way and was like, I'm going to play for Stuart. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm
Robert's a sweetheart.
I love Robert.
Yeah.
Love to this day. But
He's
anyways.
the cutest kids, too.
Absolutely, yes, adorable. But
yeah,
your character did not get you there. Not maybe there's a few people, right? There
No.
might be, no. No one.
I don't think so. Maybe in the early days.
Your standing got you there. You're in with whoever got you there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's
and if you knew somebody.
Character, yeah. That's the only way I got there.
So yeah, that maybe laugh. Wait, there was another one that said something about
There's a highlighter.
There's a bunch of things in here that, like, what I was talking about, like, you're not allowed to have inside jokes. You have to, like, be careful about,
part
like,
of one someday.
Yeah. Sound great. You're not allowed to, like, smirk and, like, roll your eyes and stuff like that. There's literally one in, like, you can smile but don't smirk.
Right.
And
because who's going to distinguish that?
Yeah. There's literally one in here that it's 2 words. It just says, or 3 words. It just says, don't ask questions.
Yeah, well, that's the mantra. Hyles-Anderson College, the place to be, also don't ask questions.
Literally, don't ask questions. It says, let's see.
Sounds like something a pedophile would say.
It hits on this thing of private jokes a few times, but this one says, watch your humor, no bathroom or sexy jokes, no private jokes in public.
Now, private jokes in public are about your private parts, or private jokes like inside jokes?
I think the private jokes
about the junk.
would be like sexy jokes.
Gotcha. Does it
Private
say
jokes
sexy?
in public. It says no sexy jokes, no bathroom or sexy jokes.
That's the wrong phrasing, though.
That's terrible phrasing.
Like sex jokes, I understand,
Yeah.
but sex. Oh, that was a sexy joke.
Yeah.
That's very broad.
Yeah.
That's not. No.
So like your jokes couldn't be too good either.
Yeah, exactly, because sexy is good.
Yeah.
Good is sexy.
Let's see. Cater to the older people. Treat praise and criticism the same way. Forget it.
What a dick.
I know. This one creeped me out. And I remember reading it, and it kind of creeped me out at the time. Be sure to go out of your way to make the preacher's wives feel special.
Awkward. Also, that speaks to what they're going through.
Yeah.
They don't feel special.
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit.
Coming from 2 pastors'
kids, yeah. We fucking
true.
know.
Look for someone to adopt at every church. Oh, there's one that says keep candy in your pockets for children.
Keep white panel vans also.
We had one.
We were in one. Hang on, real quick. So we drove around all summer. We were adults in a white panel van, and we made sure to have candy in our pockets for children. That's not good. It's not a good look, Hyles-Anderson.
And that's why the founder of the chancellor of the college is in jail right now.
The founder would be if we ever could have got enough shit on him.
And that's just like the tips and tricks. And there's like
God.
There's all these.
That's just a smidgen of it.
Crazy rules about like.
The women's dress code rules were nuts.
Those were like how they had to like put things away and all that stuff and like.
Matching jewelry.
Controversy. Do not be shocked. You do not have to know it all. Do not argue. Overcome evil with good. They expected us to write. Remember, they expected us to write staff members every week.
I didn't.
We didn't either, but they expected us to.
That's bullshit, dude.
But yeah, there was like, there's just a lot of craziness in here. I'm so happy you found this. This is.
Well, hang on to it for this trip, just for right now.
All right.
Enjoy it.
So, I'm gonna show this to my wife later.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't wait. So tour was interesting, and again, I'm not gonna lie, I had a great time. But there was a lot of, as with everything else, we did a lot of indoctrination, tons of just pure and absolute bullshit. And let's be real, like looking back, I don't think we want to take anything back because you can't, and I think it's hurtful to yourself to dwell there.
You know, I was just thinking about that.
Yes.
Today, I think, because like I think about that a lot. Like, how would my life have been different if I wasn't raised this way?
For
and, like,
sure.
Where would I be? Because like, I think we're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
You and I and like a few of our friends also had, like that got out and like with no real education and just kind of like bootstrapped and like
figured
some stuff out. That's not like I'm not like breaking my arm to pat myself on the back.
No,
like,
I understand where you're coming from.
And I've always thought like, what if? Because like my wife like went to like good college, has a good job.
Sure.
Not that I don't have like an okay job, but like you know,
what if I'd been able to have a real career?
Right, like a real education and a real career and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what though? Like if I hadn't grown up that way, it's not ideal, and I don't wish it on anybody.
No.
I wish that it would go away so nobody else would have to. But
yes.
if I didn't grow up that way,
we're working on that.
We are. I wouldn't have met Cecilia.
Mm-hmm. True.
I wouldn't have met you probably.
No,
and
we wouldn't have crossed again.
Yeah, and like so, like there's a lot of good in my life.
Absolutely.
You know, on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So I am. It's weird. It feels disgusting to say that I'm grateful for it, but I'm grateful for what I got out of it. I guess.
I think what I like that you said, and again I'm going to kind of rephrase it here, but my perspective on that is, I'm grateful for my life, how it turned out, and I want to pause just for a second to say, I've got two sisters who grew up in this, and I will not speak for them, but I will say it's so much tougher for the ladies and the fellas. So I just want to air that. If you're a woman watching this right now and you're like, oh, they're fucking all about it. Number one, we're not all about it. I don't mean to be defensive.
I hate it with a passion.
We're not all about it, and also we very much understand that for the ladies, it was a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
So if we're saying something like that, and you're like, yeah, well, this was a fucking shit show for me. It was for us too, not on the level that you had to deal with. And we're not trying to say like, oh, well, you should be grateful. No. I just want to air that really quick, and not to rephrase what you're saying, because I agree with what you're saying. No, what I like about what I pull from what you're saying is, I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to trade it or that I fully regret it. I'm grateful for what's come of it. Yeah. But I don't want anyone else to have to go through it. Yeah. Exactly. That's my perspective on what you're saying, and I agree. I agree with that 100%. I couldn't agree with it more. Like I kept saying about tour. Like I had a great fucking summer. Like I had have a wealth of friends. To be completely transparent and honest, I have a child because of it. Like I have some great and amazing things because of it. And honestly, I suffer with intensive social anxiety. But it going on tour, being a part of a bus route, street preaching, all that shit, I don't know if it's healthy, but it taught me to flip the switch where I can just flip it on and I can be that butterfly and run around the room and be that person and I can flip it off.
Dude, it's crazy that you're saying that, because like I felt like that's how my personality works too. Believe it or not, like if you listen to my podcast and like we're like having a good talk here.
Hell yeah.
If you know me personally, you may not think this of me, but I am an introvert.
I'm a wallflower.
And so like, but like I also don't like how those words get interchanged so much too, because like they start to mean what they don't actually mean. But like, just essentially all I mean is like I recharge by being alone. Like alone time is when I'm like, okay.
I'm me. I can be me. I don't have to put anything on.
But I like being around people. It's just exhausting.
I don't know if I like being around people. I don't know. So
I do like it.
I don't really. If it's close friends,
to an extent.
If it's you, as it's my family, okay. But don't take me to a party. Don't take me to a bar. I don't want to be there.
I'm not really about that.
Yeah,
but
okay,
like
so
I do like social. If it's people I know.
Yeah.
I do like socializing. I like people, and I like being around people, and even like meeting new people in certain circumstances. It's just really exhausting.
Yeah.
But I've never thought of it that way until you just said it. But like I've been able to like turn on a switch where I can like go into a situation and be like, okay, time to be like social Josh,
right?
And then just do my
100%.
thing, and then walk out and be like, oh my god,
that was terrible.
Like, and then just like veg out
de-stress everything. Yeah. I agree with 100%. And again, I do want to make the statement that I don't think that that's the only way to learn that skill, because I do believe that's a skill, in my opinion.
Oh, it's definitely not the only way.
Yeah. But I mean,
not the best way.
It's the way. Yeah, no, for sure. But it's the way we did, and I'm grateful for that skill. Yeah. So on tour, you were on tour. You must have been on tour. I'm trying to think what year this would have been. 06.
It would have been 06.
Summer of 06.
And 07.
06 and 07. All right. So you were on tour, and myself, I'm just going to throw names out here because I don't think anyone would be offended by these. One of these people, I don't have the relationship I wish I did have with them, but it is what it is. And you know who you are. So we went to, it was the same apartments I ended up in, Sherwood Lake Apartments. It was me and you. I don't think Joey was there. Maybe he was. and Cisco and Dan Peach.
Yeah.
And we went to Cisco's sister's house, apartment.
That's where Cisco was living at the time.
Yeah, okay. And we went there and we watched, I think it was Scary Movie 4.
Yeah.
But on our way there, and Cisco, to his credit, Cisco always, like, apparently from what I understand, like, you guys went anywhere to eat, whatever you did, like, Cisco was always swiping the card, which is great.
Yeah.
So we went to Taco Bell and got a bunch of fucking tacos. And on the way, we were listening to Brother Dane Cook. And a hero of the faith, yes, of course. And you got to come back out to LA because you will get to see him live.
I would love to see him live.
You've got
I don't care how much hate he gets from people.
When I saw him,
I love that guy.
The last time I saw him, he was 100% on something, and even though like he had like at least 3 solid joke stories that never ended, he just went on to something else. Still funny as fuck.
Yeah.
And he heckled a girl in the crowd. It was great.
Awesome.
So, and he went to heckle her, and she goes, "You've done this to me before."
And she came back.
It was awesome. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, it's amazing.
It was great.
Oh,
and he was like, "Oh," and he got a kick out of it too. He's like, "Oh, I have. Sorry."
That's amazing.
At any rate, we're listening to Dane Cook, and he talks about fucking a person's name, and then he uses the fuck word in front of them. It's like, "Oh, fucking so and so." You don't remember who that was, do you?
Oh my god. Okay.
You trying to remember the bit?
Yeah. He was talking about like being in a store or something and like seeing somebody that you don't want to see.
Right. Yes.
And you're like, "Oh my god, it's fucking
Bill, Tom, Jim,
whatever.
whoever."
I don't remember the name he used.
Yeah, but that was the scenario that he was relaying was like, you see that person like, "Oh, it's fucking so and so," like, I don't want to talk to them. And to preface this, I have not talked to Mark Lenentine in a long time, and I have no problems or qualms with Mark. He was a good roommate, not all the time, but sometimes, and he was a good friend. But you were on tour with Mark. It was the year you guys made the fucking CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm still bitter about that. And you guys were on tour, and I remember Mark called me, and whatever was going on that day, I was busy or had something going on, and I didn't necessarily want to talk to Mark. Sorry, I'm trying to turn on the screen on my computer. I'm trying to be like...
trying to be nonchalant.
Clandestine, and fuck it, I'll just address it. So, Mark calls me. I'm at home in Missouri with my folks, and we're out of college. You're on tour. For some reason, I feel like you guys were at a pool somewhere.
No.
No? Okay,
No.
okay.
I remember exactly where we were.
Yeah, so do I. So,
we were in California.
Okay. Oh, that's ironic.
Northern California, yeah.
So, Mark calls me, and I honestly, for whatever reason, I was in a dick mood that day, and I didn't want to talk to Mark. But I picked up, and I talked to him for a few minutes. I was out soul winning. Soul losing, really. I never won hardly any souls. As Bob Gray would say, "Are you soul winning or soul losing?" Losing. So, I talked to Mark, and at this point, me and you had, and again, I feel bad because I don't really remember our relationship at this point. But we had a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, we were pretty good friends.
We were texting. We were. And so I hang up the phone with Mark, and I immediately send Josh a text and say, "Oh, it's something in regards to, oh, it's fucking Mark. Here comes fucking Mark."
And you didn't use the symbols, right? You spelled out the word.
I spelled it out.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I guess we hadn't been texting for a while at this point because
my phone broke for a while.
The plot thickens.
Because I was an off-campus student, I was living at home still. So I had borrowed my I think it was my mom's phone.
Yeah.
For like a couple weeks while I was getting a new phone.
And you guys switched.
Yes, and so so you had my mom's number as well as mine, because like we were talking and stuff like that. Yeah. So
I'm trying to remember the chain of events because now that I'm a little tipsy, and I'm trying to remember, I don't remember it all precisely. He'll remember it word for word on his end, I know. So I send Josh that text, and I don't get a text back, which whatever. But I think I got a call. Did I get a call or did my parents get a call?
I'm pretty sure you got a call.
I think
that's what you told me.
Yeah, no, I think I got a call from Josh's mother. Yeah. And you got to remember, like, the fuck word, you just don't say that word. Like, that's the there's the holy of holies, and then there's the fucky of fuckies, and like that's at the very bottom.
It's the worst.
You don't say that word. Yeah. Because I didn't know the word cunt at the time, and you don't say that one either. But like that's the one that everyone in the world knows. That
still hurts my heart a little bit.
That's the one that everyone in the world, the real world, is like, that's ooh shit.
Yeah.
So I'm just I know I don't necessarily like that word, but I'm saying That's the word that in the IFB you would... Cunt in the real world is fuck in the IFB world. Just to help you equate that, I think.
Yeah.
So I get a call, and I don't remember what was said now. I wish I could. But it was Josh's mom, and she's just mortified that someone is sending her son the fuck word that he's been saying for fucking years. She just doesn't know or didn't want to acknowledge. And I ain't mad at her. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But then she ended up, I remember she ended up calling my... I don't remember what I said to her, but I'm sure I said something like, it was a mistake or it wasn't me. I'm sure I lied about it. And then she ended up calling my parents. I remember we were up in East St. Louis. We were soul winning. I just thought my life was over. Like, that was it. I was done. And she called my parents. I sat. My dad came down to later on that day. I got home. My dad came down to my room, and we just had this intense conversation about making right choices and having good friends. Like, this is like the equivalent of your parents found you with drugs in junior high, and like, who the fuck gave you these drugs?
Yeah, exactly.
And what is wrong with you?
And like, you
and
can't
you're
be
not
around
even
that
my
person
child.
anymore.
Yeah, like I call up Gavin and Todd, and I was like, I vividly remember calling Todd and saying, I can't be your friend anymore. We can't watch Anchorman. We can't do these things. And he was just like, the fuck are you talking about, bro? I don't think he said fuck, but it's like, what are you talking about? And I was just like, dude, I realized like I have to have a turning point. I have to do right. I have to be separated, and I'm not, and I'm wicked and unholy because I texted the fuck word.
Yeah.
It's a day I'll never forget. And to Josh's credit, thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be in your wedding recently.
Yes.
Which was awesome. And I saw his mother at the wedding.
I forgot about this part of it.
I saw his mother at the wedding, and I don't remember our discourse, our interchange, but we definitely, I didn't say the fuck word to her, but that was, anytime I've seen her since, which I think it would be that and the reception, the wedding day and the reception.
Yeah.
Both times I fully referenced me and Josh's issue, or not issue, but the issue she'd had with me in the past with using the fuck word. And she's, to 100% to her credit, she was jovial about it. She laughed.
Yeah.
She was very kind about it at this stage in life. But
well, at this
then
point, it's like years later.
Yeah, on that day though.
That day.
What happened on your side?
So, I remember exactly where we were. We were in Northern California. We were at Mount Shasta Baptist Church.
Damn, you remember better than me.
And, well, because, like, we were, like, loading in when I got the call from you first.
Oh, did I call you?
Yes.
Oh, shit. See, I forgot this.
So I got a call from Stuart. So, like, I think what had happened was, because I had borrowed my mom's phone for a while, I had my phone back on tour. And then, but I think you still had my mom's number because, like, we had been talking on that number for a second. So, like, you called me on my number, and so I picked up and I'm like, hey, man, what's up? And, like, your voice, I remember your voice was like, you didn't even know what to say. And your voice was like shaking. You're like, hey, so I just want to let you know, I just texted your mom, and so you were like, I'm gonna send you the text that I just sent your mom on accident, and I just want you to know. So like you were like, and you were like super apologetic to me, and I was like, oh no.
I remember you were super cool about it though. You were just like, dude,
I'm
it's
like,
okay,
look,
everything's fine.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Inside,
okay.
I'm like, oh my god.
What did this fucker say to my mom?
So you sent me the text, and I was like, oh shit.
We're fucked.
Oh my god. So then, like, while you were on the phone with me, like, we were wrapping up, and while you were on the phone with me, I got another call, and it was my mom. And I was like, okay, here we go. So I picked up the phone, and my mom told me what happened. And before she hung up the phone, my mom was like, she was like, I just don't think you and Stuart should be friends. She was like, I think it'd be better for both of you if you took some time apart. And like it was
I
like
was a toxic boyfriend.
It was like a Romeo and Juliet situation now, where like you were forbidden fruit at this point. And I was like, and part of me was like, I'm not gonna be friends. With Stuart, just be like,
because he said fuck.
Because we both listened to a bit. So I explained to her like what it was from.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I was like, he wasn't just like saying that. It was like
I kind of remember this dialogue a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like it was a comedian we were listening to, and he was just quoting a bit, like.
And that was definitely a big go-to. I remember back in the day, like for songs or again comedians, mostly movies. If you were quoting it, it's kind of okay.
Yeah, it was less bad.
Yes,
than if you had just come up with it.
Exactly.
Not to her though.
Nope.
She hated it still. So like for a long time, like we because then we were still in college together, and like we still talked.
Yeah.
But like I kind of had to keep it on the down low that we were still friends for a long time, because my mom thought that you were a really, really bad
wicked
influence.
person.
And it was probably more the other
the
way
other
around.
way around. 100%. I wouldn't have known who Dane Cook was without you.
My parents at one point thought that Joey and Cisco were a bad influence on me. And I told them
That's fucking
straight
awesome.
up, I was like,
Nope,
I gotta be completely honest, it's 100% the other way around. So,
dude, I love it.
But
I
yeah, Mount
love it.
Shasta Baptist Church, we were loading in.
Oh my god.
I remember the suit we were wearing because it was hot that day.
Jesus.
And for some reason, Mark was our clothing coordinator.
Yeah.
And so Mark picked the heavier suit of the two for whatever reason.
You would, Mark.
It was this really heavy, like dark blue,
yeah.
gangster looking pinstripe, white pinstripe suit. And
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, but I remember it, yeah.
Good times, man. And then during the service, I'm just remembering all this stuff.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
During the service, Robert did two things that super pissed off Anthony, our tour chaperone.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and Robert is your pianist.
Robert was the pianist.
Yes.
Robert Lopez was the pianist. Love him.
Yes.
So
always.
one thing was, one of the songs we had in our set list was a hymn, and they sang it during the song service.
Oh shit.
And so like we had already planned it, and so
Right.
like you know, common sense would be like, well,
Switch it out.
yeah, you would switch
Or
it
don't
out.
do it.
If you know, and like we had like 20 or 30 songs that we knew,
Yeah,
so like
you
we
could-
could have just like switched it for
Or you could
something
have just
else.
not sung it and make it even easier.
Right, but he didn't switch it out, and so
Oh,
we, were,
Robert.
we were all looking at him, and like he was like the quarterback, so like we
Right.
were all looking at him.
Yes.
He didn't switch it out, and so we were like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So like, and then we did it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Anthony was like pissed about that because he was like, what?
It's exactly how it sounds, by the way, people. Just so
Yeah.
you know.
like Kermit when he's mad. But then
Accurate.
the other thing Robert did, which like sort of threw us all off and like pissed us off, but one, again, I'm letting it go to my head again.
Yeah.
One, we were good enough to pull it off, but two, we all knew it because we'd listened to it a million times because we listened to Southern gospel music every day in the van.
Mm-hmm.
But like Robert started playing the intro to like it's the really famous Gaither song.
Fuck, dude. So it's in the hymn book then.
No.
Oh, it's not.
No, but it's like one of the like, it's one of the really really big ones. It's it's one of the classics, and I can't remember the name.
Oh
of it.
no.
But anyway, he like
You know the bridge? Give me the bridge.
Uh,
No, nothing.
No, I can't remember. But
Okay.
it, like we all know the arrangement.
You know it. Yeah.
Like by heart by this point because we've all heard it many times. So he just and we had never. This was not part of our set. We had never sung this song before.
What the fuck?
Together. And he just started playing the intro to it
God.
for like one of the songs we were supposed to sing, and we were all like,
The fuck are we
okay.
doing now?
So we all know our parts.
You figured it
and
out.
stuff. So we just like went into it. I went okay, but Anthony was not happy about that.
Well,
at all.
plus you're adding a level if it's Gaither. Like there's, I mean, probably
Yeah.
Anthony was okay
Well, we
with
did
that,
a lot
but-
of Gaither.
Well, so, what Jordan did for us, but did you have Jordan or no?
No.
No, you didn't. Yeah, yeah. Who was your baritone? You were the baritone?
I was the baritone.
Okay, and Steve was
Steve
the
was
golden
lead.
voice was your lead?
Yep.
Who's your group?
Andrew Koblenz was our
Mark-
tenor. Mark Lang. Mark Lang.
So Breaking Amish was your
Sorry.
tenor? Breaking
Sorry.
Amish, is that what you're telling
Yeah.
me? Oh, Jesus, I forgot about him. He had range, though.
Dude, he did have range,
He
and
had
he was
range.
he was such like he
He's a
was
nice
a
guy.
genuinely nice
Yeah.
guy. He was just a little strange, but it's because his family was literally
He
Amish.
was raised Amish, dude.
Yeah,
His
like,
dad was a missionary to the Amish people.
Like we might be backward because we grew up in the cult we grew up in.
that guy.
He was like he came from like further backward and like had to make progress. But he taught me a word that comes from like the Amish language, I guess.
German,
which is,
it should be.
it's like Germanish.
Yeah.
It's the word Gesehuscht,
Okay.
which
dig
means
it.
anytime you like do two bodily functions at the same time. So like
Okay.
if you burp and fart at the same time,
Right.
that's
So
Gesehuscht.
you shouldn't sneeze.
If you shit and sneeze, it's
It's
Gesehuscht.
Gesehuscht.
It's like any mixture of two
Give it
or
to me one
more
more
bodily
time.
functions. Gesehuscht.
Gesehuscht.
Yeah.
All right. Very
So.
cool.
You're
So you
welcome.
learned something today.
Anyway, that
Dude,
was a tangent. But
That's
yeah.
awesome. I think and now I'm gonna feel like an asshole if I can't remember his name because we're friends on Facebook. Our pianist was, I keep wanting to say my friend's name, Trenton Wiggis, but that's not
Terrence?
who it is. Terrence Gillino, thank you. And Terrence is great, but Terrence didn't take no shit.
Yeah,
And
he was like all business.
Pianists really take a lot of shit in that realm.
Dude,
And I
we used to yell at Robert all the time. I know I said he was our quarterback because he was, and Robert was like probably the most musically knowledgeable of all of us.
100%.
But Robert also liked to pull shit all the time, and so
awesome.
we all used to just really give him the business.
I remember one night we all, Terrence, I don't think Terrence fucked up. I think we fucked up. But then it's easy to blame the pianist. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. And the whole group as a whole looked over at him, and he just did like this. It's like, I'm not fucking playing. Fuck you guys.
Dude, Robert and Steven used to have these arguments. Sometimes
God,
play arguments, but they used to have these arguments where they would threaten each other about what they were going to do to each other during the
service.
set. And Steve would always be like, "There's 4 of us and one of you. So if I turn and look at you, I guarantee the rest of us are, because they're just going to wonder what's going on, and then it's going to look like you're the one that screwed up." And Robert's like, "I'll get up and walk out."
And you would too, I believe.
So it was always I never got to see any of that actually happen. But
that's a bummer.
It would have been fun to see who would have. It was like chicken.
100%.
Yeah.
An intense game of chicken. What? I probably have mentioned it before. How much time do we have? We're gonna get close here.
Oh, we're doing good.
Okay. So I think the most embarrassing thing that happened to me. I want to hear one or two of your embarrassing tour stories, but I'll lead with mine. I remember one night. I feel like we were at Nick's home church. We were in North Carolina for sure, and I think North Carolina. And I remember we stood up. We did our first set of 3 songs, and I sat down. And I don't think anyone told me. I just figured it out. And I looked at my crotch.
Oh no!
And we were wearing the it was navy blue suits, and I was wearing bright orange boxers that night.
No.
American Eagle bright orange stripes. And I looked down, I'm like, motherfucker, I was standing out there in front of the whole auditorium.
With what parts did you sing?
So our group was funky. We had 2 leads.
Oh right.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But me and John Mingy were lead, so I sang lead.
So you were probably in the middle. Right?
Either way, coming up and going down.
That's true. But at least standing up there, you might have been behind the pulpit.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
But dude,
oh man.
And Jordan, and then the that's most embarrassing. I want to hear one or two or a few of yours. But I do remember once we got on the road, and it was kind of we had our 13, 12, however many songs, and but then after we got on the road, Jordan taught us 5 more Gaither songs.
Yeah.
Once we got going.
Dude, Jordan was another one that was low key, super talented.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Robert and Jordan. Again, I'm not saying anything against you, Steve, or anyone else, but those 2 were very, very talented.
Jordan was I don't even know if
Jordan could hear every part.
Yeah, but Jordan was a huge part. Jordan and Mrs. Wilson in high school.
Okay.
Are 2 of the biggest reasons that I was able to even pick up the baritone part, because it's hard to hear.
That's tough to hear.
And they both did a lot to
That's
teach
rad.
me that.
Give me you got an embarrassing one for me?
I actually just told this story to Cecilia the other day.
Good.
It's not embarrassing as much as this speaks to the level of craziness.
Yeah.
That goes on. So we were in Belleville,
Michigan.
at Vapor-Zan's church.
Yeah, Metro Baptist.
And we were doing a youth conference there, which was
their youth conference is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's a revival for hormonal teenagers. So we get in there.
It's all bad.
It's prime recruiting time. We're recruiting, filling out applications left and right.
It's not just that church. They're bringing kids from other youth groups from all over the Midwest are coming. Yeah, because John's a big deal.
Yeah. And he's an awesome guy. It was a good time.
Yes.
He took really good care of us. But,
yeah, they do. Do you remember what they gave away that year? They always give away an animal. Sometimes it's a donkey, a fucking goat. I can't remember what Todd gave away last year, but Todd always, whatever he gives away, it stays in his backyard for the week before.
It was
donkey.
It was
a
miniature donkey.
There.
Yeah.
You might have been there for the donkey. No, I wouldn't have been there then, because that would have been 06.
But you might have just come out for it.
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways.
But we were there, and they had started this thing where they had all these little plush balls that they would just throw around the auditorium, and Dave Aberger was there, and he was
Dave's
a huge instigator. Weren't you with him for a while?
I was right down the street from him.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in Lakeview. I was in Morley for 2 years.
So he was a huge instigator of this, and they were throwing this stuff around all the and then we start singing. So the service has started, the time that things are supposed to calm down, but in these situations, just for being enthusiastic, these teens are almost rewarded for
yes, for hurting you.
Yeah, not calming down.
Yeah.
So it escalated from plush balls. They disappeared somewhere, and then it was candy that people were throwing around, right? And so people are throwing candy back and forth
and
in the crowd.
And it's not just like, oh, ha, ha, ha. It's like
no, they're freaking whipping.
They're whipping
them.
it, yeah.
So they're like pegging each other in the crowd with this stuff, and we're like just doing our we're just up on stage, very exposed, doing our thing, but like it hasn't turned to us, and so we're like,
it's coming.
Do whatever.
Have
so
fun.
we're like,
leave us out of it.
Yeah, we're doing our thing, and then it turns to us. So then people are like whipping. Like those hard double bubble candies.
Yes, dude, yes.
And like Jolly Ranchers and stuff like that. So like people are whipping those at us, and it fucking hurts.
You'll get welts.
Yeah. So like they're doing that, and then it escalated again. So then it wasn't candy, right? It was change.
Yeah.
They were throwing change. So like they were like throwing the stuff, and like we each got hit a few times. And I remember I got hit like on the forehead with one. And I was like, that really hurt. But like we're professionals. We're gonna keep singing. So we finish our set and sit down. And I was like sweating too, because like you sweat.
Yeah.
And so I did one of these, and then I did one of these, and like I came away and like blood all down my arm.
Oh my god!
Like somebody had whipped a quarter or something at me so hard that it like split my forehead open.
Oh, Jesus
and I was like, and we had to go back up there.
Yeah, you were
doing
done.
like 2 or 3 more sets. And like nobody's telling these kids to stop. Like everyone had to have seen the blood dripping down my forehead.
There's no way they could have missed it.
And nobody's telling these kids to stop. And I'm like, all right. My tuition's paid for.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. I'll take the abuse.
So that happened. I mean, there was.
Oh my god, dude.
There was a moment too, like so. Your range changes because you're like you go from not singing every day to singing every day.
Yeah.
So my range went like from what a baritone's range would be,
right, to
like a high lead by the end of tour. But just because we were singing every day.
Right. It's a muscle you're exercising.
It started getting harder to hit the lower register stuff. So there was a point, like we had a whole patriotic program that we were doing.
Ooh.
And so there was, like we sang Star Spangled Banner and all that stuff, which is really hard to sing. But there was a point where this was embarrassing, like off stage, although it was embarrassing on stage a few nights. But Anthony had to take one of my solos away from me and give it to, I think, Mark. Who was our bass?
Yeah.
Because I consistently every night would go flat on one of the notes.
Oh no!
And I remember it was like something about a hero. Like the title was something.
I remember.
Hero, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the note that I would always go flat on was an open vowel, which like it's very hard. Like
I'm gonna find that song right now.
It's very hard to like. Hit a solid note on an open vowel anyway, especially if you're like holding it out.
Yes.
And it was at the end of the phrase. It was an open vowel, and I had to like hit this note, and I would go flat every single night for like probably 7 or 8 nights straight.
Oh no!
Like it became a running joke in our group, and I was like really self-conscious about it. I would even pull Robert aside to help me practice that song, and I just couldn't fucking get it. And then Anthony pulled me aside one night, and he was like, "Hey man, like."
Cutting you.
I really think we need to give this to Mark. Oh no, he gave it to Andrew, and Andrew sang it an octave higher.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And yeah, that was embarrassing.
I can't find it. I thought your album was on Spotify. I can't find it.
I doubt.
I Have Seen the Lord.
I doubt.
Is the oldest one. I know it's on there, dude. I know it's on there. Yeah, Jesus Has Risen.
Oh,
that's it.
Yeah.
Hero for Today.
Hero for Today.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that solo, and I did so well. Like on the album, I did okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, the album's good.
But then touring it, the one note, I just was flat.
Because we had an extra guy. We weren't a quartet. We were a quintet.
Yeah.
So we had a fun thing that Jordan would teach us, or I had a thing I would always do in church where I always try to find the fifth on the last note, which is super fun to do. Mm-hmm. And I could do it, dude, over and over, practice in the congregation every time. Get up in front of people, the fifth is gone. Mm-hmm. I got nothing.
The adrenaline starts going.
Dude, so Jordan would have to teach. If I found it, we did it a couple times, and then Jordan's like, the fuck, man, like, you're missing it. You're not, why aren't you coming up or going down to it? Mm-hmm. So we had to teach it. I had to teach it to John before we went up.
John who again?
John Meany.
Oh, okay.
And then John would remember it and hit it. Because I couldn't hit it. I had to just stay on key.
Did you do the thing in your head where you were because you're singing the note you're supposed to be singing,
mm-hmm.
and then you usually like jump up to the fifth or the sixth, either one. Did you do the thing where you'd like do this like the intervals in your head first, and then jump up, or would you just
straight to it? Oh, okay. I went straight to it, so maybe that was a problem. A little too late to go back now. But
good times, man.
Dude, it was good times. I had a great time.
I learned a lot about music too.
I didn't learn that much because I've never learned to read music. I never played an instrument well, so I didn't. it didn't progress much. But again, Jordan, any progression it had was because of Jordan.
Yeah.
So 100%.
Well, there's the technical like reading music, and then there's like the very southern like shape note stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably what Jordan was teaching you.
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
So it's still like it works.
Yeah,
So,
it still sounds great.
Yeah.
I remember after it was our spring tour, because we went. We had Midwest for the summer tour, so just casserole all the time in shit hotels.
Casserole and potatoes. Yep.
Exactly. And then
where do you think this came from? I live in the Midwest.
This is casserole.
Yeah.
This is a casserole gut, y'all. So, and then I remember we went to like North Carolina or whatever for spring tour. Spring tour. And we had a guy, the dude had the coiffed hair, he looked just like William J, man. Like, it was Bill Gaither.
Nice.
Like, he came up to us after. I remember him putting his hand in, shaking Nick's hand, and taking him by both hands and saying something like, "You have a bright future in the Southern and gospel music." And so every so often I'll text Nick and be like, "Hey, how's that future in the Southern and gospel music?"
It's, I mean, there's money in it.
Oh, there is, yeah. If you stick with it, if Bill will sign you to his label.
I traveled with.
You did. That's right.
I traveled with one of the Blackwoods for the summer.
Dude, that's
he
sick.
fucked me so bad.
What?
Oh, dude, have I never told you that story?
I think you were out from what I remember. Like you had an issue with transportation, and that hurt you. But
dude,
I remember you getting.
It was the summer my whole life fell apart. So I won't go into all that story.
Sure, I understand.
Suffice it to say, that particular part of it.
Thank you for saying that right, by the way.
What?
Because suffice it is not a word.
Oh, suffice it
to say.
Suffice it to say.
Yes.
So like I traveled for a month with him, and I quit like a pretty decent job managing a hotel to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was making more traveling with him than I was at the hotel. Like there is money in Southern gospel music.
Yeah.
And it's like the easiest. It's easy.
If
you can sing it all, it's easy. So I was having a great time. Traveled for a month, came back home. I was supposed to pack all my stuff and move to Tennessee because like I was part of the group. And they had one more gig that they were doing in like Strawberry, Indiana or something like that, like Boofoo, Indiana.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so like a few things happened here on my side that I got to take care of those.
Right.
I'm still moving, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to that gig.
Right,
that
one
like,
gig.
Yeah, he was like, no problem, like we'll get you covered, like get all your stuff up. Like I had housing and everything lined up. So the day that I was supposed to move, I had a truck loaded up. Joey was gonna drive me down and then come back. So I texted him and I was like, because he had like lined up like a place for me to stay.
Yeah, okay.
So I texted him and I was like, hey, like just need the address. We're getting ready to take off. And I just got a text back from him saying, don't leave yet. And like that was all he said. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I'll get back to you or something like that. So like I was like, okay, I guess we're hanging out. Like I had already given up my lease. So like everything I owned was in this truck.
Oh my god!
So we just went to Joey's and hung out for like hours. It wasn't until like 10 at night.
What the fuck?
I got a call from his cousin, who was apparently like the manager of the group, and essentially told me like, yeah, we like decided to like go with a different guy that filled in for you at this like gig that you missed.
No,
and,
the one gig you missed.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I quit a job for this. And like gave up my apartment and everything else, and he was like, sorry, I hope we can work together in the future. I was like, well,
we can't.
We can't.
Because you're a dick.
Yeah. So he fucked me really bad, but
dude, that sucks.
Yeah. That's all I have to say. Like, there's money in.
There's money in Southern Gospel.
I'm sure he's still doing great.
Oh, I'm sure he is. All right, so we stayed on tour longer than
How did we get there?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I wanted to speak to, and we'll probably start wrapping it up with this, but I wanted to speak to the fact that I have been, listening to your podcast, and then we have conversations. Man, I can't, when I call you, I need to when I need to budget that time, and I don't.
Same when I call you.
Yeah.
It's always at least an hour.
Yeah, easily. And it's great. We have great conversations, but I think and I said this to you earlier, I feel like you're very well adjusted for everything you've been through. I think for both of us, I think my opinion is that we're understanding that we're on a journey. This isn't a destination. Not a destination, it's a journey. I know it's super cliche, but it's true. I feel like it's most especially for us because of everything we've not so much gone through, but where we come from and all the indoctrination and just trying to relearn who we are, what we want, and where we're going. That's a big task. Yeah, and you have to reset it as an adult.
Yeah. deprogramming is it's a very real struggle.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. So anytime we have our conversation, it's always like, that's why I wanted to do this podcast. That's why I felt like we had to while you were out here. And I've been on your podcast 2 or 3 times, I think, maybe more, for which I'm grateful. But I wanted to have you on Not Your Mother's because I wanted to at least speak to that. And I'd like to ask you, I know starting a podcast for some people might sound like an incredible undertaking, and it is if you're going to keep it going. Mm. But getting started wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so whether it's, I'm going off on a tangent, but whether it's starting a podcast, seeing a therapist, or talking to someone that you can just speak your mind freely to without worrying about judgment, one of those 3 outlets I think is incredibly necessary to help you move forward. I think everyone should have it, but I think me especially, I've needed that, whether I knew it or not, to move forward as a human being, as an adult, as a parent, as a functioning member of society. What's something you would say, whether you just want to maybe echo that, you don't need to, something you would say like, man, what I take from you is reading, I think is, my opinion, has really helped you adjust, figure out who you want to be, where you want to go, all that jazz. But would it be reading? Would you want to recommend something? Or would you just say like, there's something else, another facet that's really helped me figure out what I want in life?
Wow, it's a good question.
Because we were told, I know, I didn't write that down. Because we were told what we wanted. I think what I'm trying to get at is, for the entirety of our youth and much of our young adult life, we were told, this is what you want, now figure out how to get it.
Yeah.
Or, what you want is the mysterious will of God, and we're not going to tell you how to get it, but you'll figure it out, but you have to do this, and this in order to be able to figure it out.
Dude, speaking of what we want, it's funny that you mentioned that, because and that you mentioned reading, because I just read something. Like, the end of the day, at the core of like what every single one of us want, and like when I say this, you may not agree. You guys may not agree, but I guarantee, like, after you think about it for a while, you'll at least sort of agree. All any of us want is to have the thought, and it be true, oh, this is where I belong.
Oh God, it's a beautiful thing.
Whether it's like, if your main focus and goal in life is to make more money, that's not what you want. That's not really what you want. Like, the thing behind the thing behind the thing behind the thing is you want to be like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I belong. This is
find your place.
Yeah, this is where I should be. And I just read that the other day, and I was like, wow,
that's good shit.
So true. But
like
so I do a lot of reading.
That
was Rob Bell.
Okay, cool.
Wrote that. Like, so I think I've read everything Rob Bell has written.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to be like, this person has answers, because like we grew up in a very like person-centric cult. Man worship, everything's black and white. Yeah. And I think that's a bad road to go down, but like if you find somebody that's helpful to you, then soak it up, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a reason that like mentors exist.
One thing I want to dovetail on with that, sorry I'm interrupting you, is I've found that I find people for seasons. So when I needed Gary Vaynerchuk to motivate me and get me off my ass and start this entrepreneurial journey, man, that was absolutely what I needed to hear. Now, I like to listen to Aubrey Marcus or Lewis Howes, people that have more of a kind of a soft view of life, or more spiritual view of life, or talking to spirituality more. So I like what you're saying, especially because you said, like, I'm not trying to say like this is the guy for you, or you have to have one guy or a girl or a leader or thought leader. It's more of what works for you right now. Find that person. You don't have to attach yourself to them. You don't have to wear their clothes or subscribe to their podcast, but find someone or something, because it's out there. I guarantee you.
It is.
It's going to help you find the perspective that you know you need. And when you find them, it clicks. It's not a, man, I keep searching, I can't find it. No, you'll find it, and you'll know when you find it.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I had to learn is, like, truth can come from anywhere.
Yes.
And truth has kind of become my, like, obsession. Whether it exists or not is not the point to me. I, like, depending on the day, I'll tell you I think it definitely does, or it definitely
Some days
doesn't.
it's fucked.
But that's why I got this tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
show us.
I think this, like, There you go.
Am I pronouncing it right? Veritas?
Veritas, yeah.
Nice.
It's just truth in Latin. But
Okay.
I think the seeking of it is the thing, not like finding
It's so cliche, but it's the journey.
Yeah.
It's really the longer I
The work
live,
you're doing.
and I'm not that old. I'm 33, and there's people that are older and wiser than me, absolutely. But like, the more I'm around, I've got a kid. I'm working on a career. You know, I've established myself in the career and in the geographical location where I exist.
Yeah.
I feel like, but man, the more I learn, the further I get, the more I feel like it's a fucking journey.
Yeah.
And you've got, if you can't, I'll say this, I feel like if you, in my opinion is, if you can't enjoy the journey, what's the point of the destination?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that there is or isn't a destination. I'm just having a shitload of fun on the journey.
I'm of the mind that there is no destination.
I'm pretty close to that myself.
But yeah, so like, well, and Andy and I were actually just talking about this on my podcast. But I think we both agree that it was Nietzsche that said it, but it could be Descartes. I can't remember. Some philosopher.
Yeah.
Said that true freedom is the freedom from certainty.
Yes.
And like essentially the idea that like getting to a certain spot in your career or achieving a certain thing or getting a thing is going to be the thing that makes you happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then you'll be good. And that's capitalism at its peak.
Yeah.
Which is, like, we've talked about this before, like capitalism is great for economies. It's terrible for the human psyche.
Yeah.
Unbridled capitalism is terrible for economies too, eventually,
but
because they end up imploding and whatever.
Yep.
Ocasio-Cortez, whatever her first name is.
Yes.
Anyway, so like the idea though is that the human brain likes to sort things into boxes and
compartmentalize.
So it does the same thing with like happiness and fulfillment and joy and whatever.
Yeah.
And so we have this idea that there's like something out there that will make us fulfilled. And so that's like when people talk about their calling or like, you know, what, like I'm just trying to like, you know, da 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 da.
Right.
It's the idea that like it's a very acquisitional idea of like fulfillment or life in that like if I do this thing or get this thing or achieve this thing or whatever, then I'm gonna be happy. That's it. And then when you get that thing, because some people do, like, and like you'll hear celebrities and movie stars and like singers and everything else say like, oh yeah, that like. It's great, but it's like it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's not what you think it is.
And the reason for that is like once you get that thing, it's like I still feel not complete.
Yeah.
And then most of us will at that point will be like, oh, my mistake. Sorry, this was just a stepping stone on the way to that thing.
Yeah.
And so like it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going.
You're still on that journey anyways, whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
Right. But the difference is you're not enjoying any of the progress to get there.
Right.
Like all you're focused on is like getting
that
there,
goal.
and then once you're there, you're like, oh, this didn't do it.
Exactly.
So, like the idea that freedom is freedom from like true freedom is freedom from certainty. Is the idea that like that's never going to happen.
No.
So, feel joy and presence in the mess and the not knowing and everything else, because that's where the juice is anyway.
Well, and that's your day to day. Like, you think about it. Like, do you really like? I understand like sports and accomplishments and winning awards at work, and I'm not degrading any of those things, but I'm saying, does that make up the majority of your life, or does the not to say mundane, but mundane, day to day, regular, normal shit? Putting gas in your car and watching your favorite show and all those things, that's what makes it the majority of your life. So I'm not saying you can't find happiness or don't enjoy the mountaintops, but Jesus, man, like enjoy the nitty gritty, because if you can't enjoy the nitty gritty, all you're enjoying are these little micro portions of your life, where the macro is just like, oh, my life sucks, I hate my job.
Yeah, and then you're enjoying like 2% of your life.
Why? That's terrible. I listened to. Sorry, go ahead.
Like any artist would tell you, or like you're an entrepreneur, like you do, like that's I think a form of art. Like having a podcast is
I agree.
a form of art.
Absolutely.
Any artist would tell you like anytime. This is how I feel. You tell me if this is how you feel. Anytime I upload an episode of my podcast, like so much work and like care.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm sounding like a. I don't mean to sound like a diva or whatever, but like so much, like that's so like my like I crafted that.
That's your baby.
Like I worked on that so hard.
Yeah.
And like especially solo episodes because like I prepare for those a lot.
Yes. Yep.
And so then you like the doing of it.
Mm-hmm.
You find out is like that's I'm never more alive than if I'm like singing or like doing a podcast.
Yes, 100%.
So then you do it, and then you upload it, and you send it off into the void of the internet, and you don't know if it's connecting with anybody.
Yeah,
it's just out there.
Yep.
And so you're essentially like
it's
sending
a very
away
vulnerable thing.
Yeah, you're sending away like a piece of yourself, and then like it's just out there. And then like the time after it's completed and done and like out there, it's like the pastor at my church that I go to sometimes, Arlen.
I love Arlen.
He it's the Monday blues, like after a Sunday, after a great church service on Sunday, like you like poured your heart out on Sunday.
Letdown the next day.
And then on Monday you're just in the absolute
the day after
depths.
Christmas.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But it's like you find out that's like it's because the making of the thing.
It took so
that's the thing.
Yeah.
And then once it's out there, like you're not like, oh, I made a thing, I'm all good. It's no, I got to make more stuff,
make more things, and also how was that thing received? Did anyone like it? Did they hate it?
But like, if you get hung up on like how it's received, you're never gonna.
It's true. I did in the beginning.
That's a dark hole.
I did in the beginning, and I'm not saying I'm special because I don't anymore, but I really don't. Like I put it out there. If you like it, cool.
I try not to, and I think you're better at it this point than I am because like I still like I remember I called you one day and I was like, what kind of like numbers do you get? Just out of curiosity.
That was a long time ago.
I'm trying to figure out like what my progress is and stuff like that. And you're like, I don't fucking know. And I was like, I remember I was like, oh okay. And in my head I was like, you what?
You don't fucking know.
I check it much less often now, but
good for you.
It's a struggle. It's hard.
But you've been doing it longer, and you've put in a lot more work to it than I have. Let's just be real.
I don't know if that's true.
That is true.
You do video.
Whatever. I think there's a podcast I listen to on occasion called The Magic Hour with Mercedes Terrell and Jade Bryce, and they're incredible ladies, and they consistently mention having a liquid truth. And I just like the concept of that. And I'm sure I'll get it wrong. They've said it more eloquently than I will here because it's a part of their mantra for both of them. But it's this thing that's like, it's your truth, but I don't know if malleable is the right word. It's your truth, but it can transform. It doesn't, and that's not to fill yourself with lies and think that you're always right. It's not a means to an end or to make you feel better about yourself. It's just like, hey, it's okay for your truth to be this today and that tomorrow. And they don't need to be polar opposites. They don't need to eclipse one another.
But they can be.
But they can be, and they can be different. And there's an old interview from Robert Downey Jr. And someone was...
I thought you were going to say Bob Dylan, because I have a story about Bob Dylan.
But I want to hear it. There's an old interview from Robert Downey Jr., and they're talking about... There was some interview that he not jumped up, but walked out of the interview.
Oh, I remember that.
I think this is actually, I may be getting it wrong, because I think this is the one I'm talking about where he walks out of. That is the one. But he had said something a long time before this interview in a different interview, and now his opinion on that thing had completely changed. And the guy just kept badgering him. I remember a couple times RDJ was like, am I here for an Avengers interview, or this is about my personal life? Like, what's going on? And he did end up walking out of this interview, but I distinctly remember him saying something to the effect of, hey, that was my opinion 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it is. And you know what's cool about opinions? Interviewer guy, they can change. Mm-hmm. And everyone's opinions change all the time. Yeah. Bye. And then he unclipped the mic, I think, and took off. But I love that. But and it doesn't have to be Robert Downey Jr. that's saying it. It can be your mom or your sister or yourself in your head. It's okay for your ideas, your opinions, your thoughts to change.
They're going to.
It's a liquid truth. They have to.
Dude,
you have a child, you start a new job, you start a new hobby, your opinions are going to change. It's just going to happen. Yeah. That's life.
You're exposed to different situations and people, circumstances, and I'm a totally different person than I was 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
And that person was a completely different person than I was 5 years before that.
Yeah.
I joke around with Cecilia all the time, my wife, but I tell her I feel like I've lived 5 or 6 lifetimes.
Nice, yeah.
I'm only 33.
That's great though.
Actually, but
by the way, happy birthday to Josh.
Thanks. I wasn't fishing for that.
I know you weren't.
It just occurred to me.
I knew I needed to mention it before the podcast was over, and I kept forgetting. So I'm glad you did.
But and that's fine. You can be a different person. But there was this interview a long time ago with Bob Dylan,
Okay.
And he was in England doing a tour, I think. And this was like in his later career, like.
Okay.
So like he started off playing like very like folksy acoustic music.
Mm-hmm.
He went electric for a little while.
Oh wow.
And then like he's like had like 3 or 4 different sounds. Like one of my favorite artists of all time. He's brilliant.
I'll have to listen to more.
Prolific songwriter. So good. But he was in England on tour, and this was like mid to later career. And a reporter came up to him, and he was like, "Dylan, why did you stop writing protest songs?"
Mm.
And I like Bob Dylan like looks directly at the reporter and he goes, "Who says I was ever writing protest songs?" And like in that moment, you see like so much like Dylan is just like he's changed so much like over the course of his career, and like he starts off this one way, and then like he's just never the same. Like album to album, even
nice.
It's just never the same. And like in that moment, you get this glimpse of like. Who said I was ever doing that in the first place? Like, I'm not playing that. Like, who said I was playing any game? Like, you don't know. You know, like, and I'm allowed to be this now, just like I was that then. Like, this is who I am now.
It's
and
okay to change.
Maybe I'll be something different later.
In the future.
But it's just, like, it's one of my favorite moments. Like, because, like, it presupposes so much. And he's like, who said I was ever doing that in the first place?
And I like the simplicity of it. It's not this long explanation from him. It's just him saying, no, this is me. This is who I am. Why does that have to be the label that's subscribed to?
And you can definitely point to some of his earlier songs and say like
they're protest songs.
That's 100%. A protest song. But like I think his point was like why do I have to be doing any one thing?
Right.
You know?
Why can't I be a multifaceted human being?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or why is it strange or different or not okay for what I'm doing to change?
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to change. So I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. I hate that because me and Josh have a lot to talk about, and we live on not opposite coasts, but pretty close to that. So, also
we're about to live on opposite coasts.
Yeah, we are. Huh? That's true. Quick shout out though. I had to make mention that Josh is wearing a United States of Indiana shirt. I've shouted them out before, but I'll always continue. We're both from Indiana. We love Indiana. In fact, if I saw it correctly, your ring is also an Indiana quarter.
Yeah, so
I love it.
And Stuart got me both of these.
Oh, I didn't know the shirt. The ring I remember. I remember the shirt. I forgot.
Yeah, this was in that box of like just a ton of stuff that you got me. So like mug, a cup, like a couple T-shirts, like stickers and stuff like that. But yeah, this is an Indiana State quarter.
Yep, it's made into a ring.
And and this T-shirt.
I love it.
Hell yeah. That's a brand that I was made aware of, I think, because of you.
I would hope so. Yeah. So again, we're both but we're both Indiana boys. We love Indiana. I know that's not a good outro
for some reason.
Yeah, we're not really sure why sometimes, but we love Indiana.
Yeah.
We're from there. It's our roots. It's actually on my arm. It's a tattoo. So, anyways, I really enjoyed this, dude. Thank you so much for making the time for coming out here. I'm very grateful, and I say that often, but I really mean it. I'm super grateful for you coming on, dude. I mean that means the world to me.
I'm grateful you had me on.
Dude, hell yeah, of course.
It's I know, man, this is gonna sound like I pat myself. I don't mean to.
Pat it.
I just know that like having someone on your podcast is a very intimate thing, and it's like it's not something that's done lightly. So I appreciate the fact that you had me on.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Thanks. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. We hope that, of course, always I welcome feedback. So if you have something you agreed with, disagreed with, give a fuck about, feel free to let me know. Let Josh know. And one last plug, you've got to check out, if you enjoy this podcast, I guarantee you'll enjoy the Good Humans podcast put on by Josh Owens. He puts out episodes pretty consistently, more consistently than me. So if you're looking
Not
for...
lately.
It's been like a month and a half, dude.
I don't know when mine was right at about a month.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, at any rate, I don't know exactly when this will air. So if you're trying to figure out Josh's birthday, I'm sorry, because this is not going to air on his birthday or anytime right around then. It is what it is.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. But thank you guys for sticking along. I know I didn't. Let me look and see. What do we got? Oh, about an hour and 40 minutes or so.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. But thank you guys so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast.
Bye.